Hey everybody, it's Vincent DiSanti here from Womp, Stomp Films for another episode of The Ghost Files Live. This week I'm joined by my special guest, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Tommy Jarvis, the Jason Killer Mathews. How you doing, Tom? It's good to see you.
Doing great. Thanks for having me, man. It's just been a wild ride.
I know it's up to a 6-year journey now.
Yeah, wow. Has it been that long?
It's been that long. Yeah, and always showing off that beautiful Italian Return of the Living Dead poster behind you in your office.
Yeah, that's the bus stop poster that way.
Oh yeah, that thing
poster. Is. I reached out to them when after Return of the Living Dead came out, and being half Italian, I thought they owed me something. I asked for a poster. I asked for the one sheet. They sent me this big ass bus stop poster, which is really cool.
How big is that thing?
It's a bus. It's probably
5 feet.
Yeah, 3.5 feet by 5 feet.
Damn. Yeah, that's definitely a collector's item.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you. And then thank you for everybody who's jumping in and saying hello. We'll definitely be throwing questions up toward, in the middle of the episode. You can ask Tom questions. Just put them in the chat. I'll try to find them as we go. Obviously, super chats will jump to the top, and we'll jump to those right away. So definitely check those out. And of course, for everybody who is aware, we are in the middle of Never Hike Alone 2 campaign season. We're doing great right now. Look at that, $96,000 in. We've been campaigning for about 2 weeks now. Going into it, this is the end of our third week, and usually the third week's the slow week, but we jumped a lot, especially since last Friday. We had a great stream with the guys from Jason Rising, James Sweet, and Carl Winery. Did a lot of great things, gave a lot of things away. No new perks today. We're gonna have some new stuff next week. For those of you who don't know, I was in the process of moving this week. I was in Los Angeles. I'm actually in Flagstaff, Arizona right now, broadcasting in from my brother's house out here where I moved most of my stuff. I'll be returning to LA to finish Never Hike Alone in a few weeks. But anyone who's here, please make sure that you stop by the Indiegogo campaign. Please contribute and then share the campaign with any friends or family. We'll talk about it here. If anybody has questions about Never Hike Alone 2, definitely bring them up. Let's jump into
out there too, people.
Oh yeah, there's some good stuff. I mean, we have producer perks. I mean, we just had some producers kind of come up this week. Definitely check those out. Check out the updates for stuff that we have: Blu-rays, VHS, posters, pins, some new screen use stuff coming up next week, and some other stuff that's going to be pretty cool. Got to check in on a few things, but definitely check that out and help support that and spread the word.
I can't tell you, man. I'm really excited to be a part of it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time, Tom. Ever since.
Yeah,
we did Never Hike Alone 2, and we sat down afterwards and thought about what we could do afterwards. This has sort of been a project that has grown and molded over time and has been delayed by the pandemic, but it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. I also remember, I know the Telluride Horror Film Festival is coming up too, which, is now near and dear to my heart because that's where we had the world premiere of Never Hike Alone. So that's a lot of fun. And that's a great hang too, if anybody's out there and they want to go to a horror film festival. Really
I mean, we definitely have aspirations to bring Never Hike Alone 2 back there, as well as many other festivals that we've done. I mean, we did the Days of the Dead festivals. We were at Mad Monsters and Horror Hounds of the world. So we're definitely going to be doing that tour with the film, having a chance for everyone to see the film and then, hopefully speak with you and Vinny and come out with, members of the cast and really kind of go around and celebrate this celebration of Friday the 13th.
Maybe we could bring it. I mean, if the timing's right, we could bring it to some of the horror conventions that I go to, and they can, tease it there or whatever. Bring the poster and stuff like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, it's a great way to keep the franchise and the character alive. And speaking of that, so all this, I mean, you've been carrying the Tommy torch for a long time. Part 6, you got to do the game, and then you and I surprised everybody in Never Hike Alone, and now Never Hike in the Snow. But now this is the difference between this one that I hope people start to really understand is that this is your movie now. This is the truth. This is another sequel to, your storyline, which I consider the sort of the final chapter of the Jarvis saga. How do you feel about sort of carrying that torch and growing the character overall?
Well, we'll see what happens. We don't know if it's the final chapter or not.
Maybe you don't know who's coming back or what's happening. But as far as the Never Hike Alone verse goes, I don't know how many more fan films we can make. I think at that point we need to step and talk to the studios and say, okay, if we're doing another one, we're doing it with the real budget, no more crowdfunding.
Be calling you, man. I mean, my God.
I know.
All the hits on YouTube for Never Hike Alone. That's just amazing. It's just now. I mean, it's just crazy.
I don't know. I think LeBron James is going to buy it out. We're all screwed.
Money talks, LeBron. Come on.
Yeah, come on. You're a Laker fan, Tom. Can't you talk to him?
I am a Laker fan. They're not doing so well right now. But.
No, are they out of the playoffs, or are they hanging on to that play-in, the play-in tournament? They're trying. Yeah, the sports talk radio in LA has been very dire about the Lakers this season. It's been pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, this is going to be. I think this is exciting for fans to kind of see this chapter of Tommy's life, and we got a chance to sit down and talk about the character and kind of develop him. Like what does the character mean to you after all these years and doing all the conventions and meeting the fans and just sort of seeing like you're doing the movie back in 1986,
well,
but
now it's never changed for me. I've always seen him, still tormented and still disturbed, and always thinking that Jason's going to rear up somehow, even though he was put down, and it's always lingering in the back of his mind. That's why he couldn't really have a relationship, and dysfunctional relationships with the family, if he had any kids or anything like that, or friends, and kind of a backwoods kind of hermit, also just kind of waiting, and just it feels responsible for it because he, Tommy brought him up. He dug him up out of the freaking grave. So.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, and that's been sort of a meme that's gone around the Friday the 13th world. It's like every death after part 6 is your fault. How do you feel about carrying that burden? Well, is it a heavy weight to carry?
I have nightmares. No, it's as Tommy, I have nightmares.
If you think about it, you got a lot more people work is what you did.
That's true.
I mean, without you, there's no Kane Hodder.
That's true. Hey.
Hey, hang that over his head at the next con.
10% of everything he's made since.
Yeah, right. If I never dug up CJ.
I'll bring that up to him next time I see him.
Yeah, right.
That's a good point. And every other actor who was there.
Yeah, you were only up to you. That's only half the franchise. There's another whole 6 films that come after part 6. So
a lot of money sitting around somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Maybe it's your turn to file the lawsuit. You can.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna claim their piece now.
Damn it.
Yeah. Right.
Well, but no, I'm really looking forward to part 2. It's just I haven't been excited about something like this for a long time. So.
No, this is great. I mean, I remember when we talked about it a long time ago, and it felt good to sort of, because part 6 had I think the best ending, in my opinion, in the series, as far as part 4 has a great ending to end that kind of series, but part 6 has that ultimate, you and Jason have a real battle. There's a real sort of thing that happens. It feels like at the end of the movie, yeah, this is a way to trap Jason. This is a way to do it. And ever since then, the films never figure out a way to really kill Jason in an interesting way. It's been one of the weaknesses of the later franchises. So that somebody undid your work, and you being, your character going through 3 different movies and having, a lot of fans kind of go after that. I always saw it as something that was Tommy's got to be around to want to put him back. It's just that now, right. Jason's been let out by other people, and Tommy, has been trying to track it, but Jason's been elusive. And it's been this struggle for you for the last, 20 years of you searching for him. So
it hasn't been easy.
It hasn't been easy being, before you turn into the next crazy Ralph of Crystal Lake, you're just trying to maintain a life and go through, but you have this fear that, this evil that you undid all these years ago, and it could be roaming around. It could still be your fault that, you still feel this responsibility. And that's
definitely takes it takes it personally that, it's even a possibility that it's going on. So, it's a heavy burden.
This is a good question. Did you keep anything from the set of part 6?
Did I keep anything? I don't have the jacket. The jacket was my jacket. I mean, that's what I was wearing back in the day. So it was.
I didn't know that. That it was your personal jacket.
Someone pointed out to me that I have suspenders in as Tommy Jarvis, and I also had him as Freddy in Return of the Living Dead, which I hadn't even thought about. But that's a good point. Have I kept anything? No. I do have some. I have the script. I have my script, of course.
Oh, wow.
And then I have some personal behind-the-scene pictures that I have in slides. Were the big thing back in the day. So they're all on slides. These color slides are pretty cool.
Oh,
I
that's
have
cool.
maybe, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 slides that I haven't shared. I have the call sheets. A lot of the call sheets. People have called me to find out where where a particular scene had taken place at what time, and the kind of location, because they have all the maps on the call sheets and a general area. So yeah, I have those, and I have a binder. It's probably 5 inches thick. I wonder if I have it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about bringing? And I don't know if it's not safe for work. But have you ever thought about bringing like that slideshow to? If you go do that, I know you do the screenings in Georgia at the actual camp to actually show people. That'd be great.
Cool. Yeah. I'm actually doing that. Yeah, it's not on my list of stuff I'm doing. I got to add that.
But I think that would definitely be something fans would love.
For those of you who don't know, I'm doing promoters have secured the location where we shot Friday the 13th Part 6. And so it's a camp. They rented out the camp, William Morgan, and we're going to have on Saturday night. We're going to show the movie and have campfires and play games and take pictures and sign autographs and stuff like that. So the people are going for the full weekend from Friday to Sunday, and I'll be there on Saturday to watch the movie and hang out and answer questions. It's limited to 70 people. But it's really, really a lot of fun, and that slideshow might be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I think that fans would really. You should definitely talk to Peter Brackey too. I think he's doing an extension of the Crystal Lake Memories book, and just I think Friday the 13th franchise.com. There are fans that would I guarantee you would.
Oh, they love that.
Drool over that.
Sure.
We've got a couple good questions coming in. I think it'd be good to bring them in. Speaking of, we kind of talked about this before. When they started making more Fridays, Tom, did they ever approach you to do more, or did you ever expect to get a phone call at some point to?
In my mind, if I owned the franchise, just for consistency and lineal sake, I would have carried the story and just continued the story wherever that may take you. So I would have thought that would have been brought back in part. I would have been, wanted to. I don't know who owned it when they did Part 7. I don't know if it was Paramount or if they had sold it to New Line or.
No, it was still Paramount 7 and 8.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mostly the same team. I think the Mancuso started to peel off at that point. Was what happened. Yeah. Is after 6 is when they peeled off. Yeah.
Look, let's face it. I mean, back in the day, it was a horror movie, and they weren't really proud of horror movies. The Paramount wasn't really happy, but it was making a lot of noise, making a lot of money, so they couldn't ignore it. So they kept making them, and that's why they don't have any consistency, I think, unfortunately. But I think I'm in Part 7. Only clips from Part 6 were used, so I did get some cash for that, but that was about it.
Using the previous footage fee. Yeah.
But it's funny because I did Part 6, and then after it came out and stuff, the casting office over at Paramount called my agent and wanted me to send over 20 headshots so they could hand them out to other projects that were going on in the studios. Nothing ever came of it. Not sure why, but so.
Well, now we have plenty to do. Speaking of another co-star of yours, CJ Graham, Joe Reese has a question for you. How was CJ to work with during the fight at the end of the movie? And I guess just in general, I mean, CJ's been a good friend of yours for years.
He was so big and heavy. They had to weight him down because he would float to the top. Yeah. He was had to keep him down under the water. CJ was great. He was, I think that's the most time we had spent together was the underwater stuff, because it was just him and I. While we were shooting the movie in Covington, Georgia, he was kind of off, didn't want to intermingle with the people, with the other cast members and stuff, which was cool. It was a great scene, and it's one of my favorite scenes to shoot. I've never filmed underwater before or after that, so that was a fun scene. And there's some great figures of us. I'm joking, there's like bubbles coming out of my mouth like we're underwater. We were putting them in their fish tanks and stuff like that, which I'm trying to get one of them. They're all sold out.
Oh, yeah. There's got to be a fan out there somewhere with access to one. You got to hook Tom up with.
Been signing them, but I just can't get one.
Let me see. What else we got here? Oh, Eric's got a good one. How was working with Gun Media when you guys did Friday the 13th, the game?
Gun Media was great. They added me, I think, after the fact because of, I'm not sure why. I think the fans wanted to see me come back, and so they added me after the fact. And I tried to negotiate. They came to me for an offer. I got photo or image approval. That's a whole nother story. But I tried to negotiate. I wanted them to pay me in the video game every time someone was Tommy Jarvis, they would give me 10 cents.
They would have made it so hard to be Tommy.
We didn't go for that.
Yeah,
but
that would have been.
I try and ask. I said, it's only 10 cents times a million, right?
Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden, they're like, "Where's all this money going?"
So that was.
That's
they
funny.
were great. They were great. And I'm going back to Lexington. Actually, that's where Gun Media is for in October for Scarefest, and everybody from Gun Media came out and said hi, and they gave me a stack of posters like this. They're numbered posters. I don't bring them with me to the conventions because they're too hard to carry, but and they're rigid. They don't just roll up. You know, they're like they're really stiff and cardboard.
Yeah, you gifted me one of them. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're really
I have it stored away right now.
Really cool. So I was there a while back, and you know the CEO came over, all the secretaries came over, and it was really a fun trip. And then they gifted me with all these posters and other things because they had shut down. The metal boxes too, also for the game case, which was kind of cool. So, but they were really great. It's a shame that they had to shut it down.
Yeah, no, the whole lawsuit kind of screwed. I mean, even us to a certain degree, because we were getting pretty close on some things, and we just kind of had to sit off to the side and keep crowdfunding. Here's another good one from Sucker Punch 88. I mean, speaking of the lawsuit and all that stuff.
Loved your name.
Yeah. What made you decide to do the movie with me, and how did it all come to be? How did you get the part?
That's a long story, and I'll try to give you the knockdown version of it. I have a really good friend he's a writer. He's been friends for 30, 40 years. About 35 years. And he calls me one day and he goes, this acquaintance of mine found out that I knew you. He's a freaking huge horror fan. He won't stop asking me if will introduce me. So I'm calling you so he'll shut up. Will you please have a dinner with him? So I said, okay, yeah, sure. Anything for you because you're my friend. And so he'll stop bothering you. Because, So we ended up having dinner together, and we're talking, and and he goes, oh, by the way, I'm doing this fan film. And I was wondering if you'd like to be a part of it. And I'm thinking. And I said, sure. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, a fan film. I really hit rock bottom. It's like, this is the worst thing that's could ever happen to an actor doing a freaking fan film. I said, yeah, sure. Send it over. I'd love to read the script. He goes, well, I could do that, but we've also have half the movie. We shot half the movie. I said, oh, even better. So I wasn't really, I've seen fan films since he mentioned it, because I didn't even know what a fan film was. It just sounded awful. So I Googled some fan films, and they were awful. And he sent me over the footage, and amazing footage. That first scene, the drone shot, the traveling, it was just, and Andrew was great in it. Half the movie was shot, and so I said, sign me up. I'm on board. It looks really professional. It looks like any studio movie may have done it. It was just I was blown away by it. I'd be happy and proud to be a part of it. And then he introduced me to Vincent, and we had a meeting. We figured out where I could slip into the script as it was written. So,
yeah, and it's been a wild ride ever since. I remember that day. It was Barry had stepped into
Barry J.
Barry J stepped in to fund Never Hike Alone.
Yeah.
In our first campaign that actually didn't make it. We were trying to raise $40,000. We got to like 28, and Kickstarter, you have to get it. And so we didn't get it, but Barry had come in with a pretty good share and said, yeah, I'd love to, give you guys some money straight up, and, don't worry about the perks and all that stuff. I just want to see this happen. I believe in you guys. And
huge fan. He's a huge horror fan.
Huge fan. And, he walked away with a ton of gifts from the movie too, which is really great. So he's got all the Never Hike Alone stuff, and a director and writer himself. We can talk about a little bit of that in a little bit. But for me, the experience was that the funniest thing is that it was the first time I saw you. Go ahead.
Think about it. I mean, you had this. You're a horror fan, obviously. I mean, and Friday the 13th franchise is a big part of that, and so it was with Andrew as well, which kind of brought you guys together. So just having, I mean, think about it as a humanistic point of view. You're just having having a desire to do it, and look where it's brought us. It's brought us together just from your desire to wanting to be the doors that's open. It's just amazing to me.
It is,
what people can do.
Yeah, I think that the arc for me that is really kind of telling is that I had in Massachusetts, there weren't really like conventions. I had never really gone to a convention or been to one. And when I moved to Los Angeles a while ago, I had come to my first one at a Monster Palooza, and you were there. And I wanted to come up to the booth and talk to you, but I didn't know what I was going to say to you. Like, I literally just sat around for like 10 minutes, be like, what do I say to Thom Mathews? Do I want to meet him this way? Like, I wanted that experience of like meeting you as a peer, not oh, Mr. Mathews, like, oh my God.
So did you have any ideas about Never Hike Alone at the time?
No, not at all. I mean, all I ever wanted to do at that point was work on a Friday the 13th. At this point, I had just gotten into the industry. I really didn't have any aspirations to do anything but just find job and work and get better at it and stuff like that. And so it was funny that years around later, the first time we were going to meet was when we were going to discuss Never Hike Alone, and we had met in the Palisades at a little restaurant out there. And it was a surreal experience for me. Like sitting here, the first time getting to meet, was actually getting to pitch you something and pitch you Friday the 13th related material. It was cool to show. You were the first person to see the second trailer with all the extra stuff in it, with all like the stuff that we had shot from the fall, which was really cool. And then from there, it's been, I mean, this has been it. I mean, if you had said, Vin, if you wanted to take over Friday the 13th, what'd you do? I'd be like, well, go get me Thom Mathews. Let me finish that story. And let me go from there. This is how I would go. This has been exactly what I wanted. And it's amazing that it hasn't happened. It didn't happen through the studio system. It happened through fans getting together and keeping it alive and saying, this is what people want. I mean, we want Tommy back. They made 6 more films after we last saw him, and we haven't seen him back. And speaking of which, there's a good question that came up to say that, like, what, did you ever, when you started to see it kind of get big, like when they were doing the Freddy versus Jason movie, do you think Tommy had a role in that movie?
I don't know. It's kind of gimmicky for me. I don't really.
Well, did you do the Tommy tapes for Gun Media?
Yes.
You did do that because they kind of talked about that. You were staying at Weston Hills, right?
Yeah.
They kind of wove that in.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wondering. It's like, what is canon now? There's going to be like a multiverse of Tommies. I've always wanted to see a photo of you, Corey, and John standing in the same place and doing that like Spider-Man picture where you're all pointing at each other.
Cool. That's so funny because I thought about that like last week because we've never done that. We've never been at.
But no way home.
John doesn't even go to conventions.
No, that's a shame.
So that I know of. Could be wrong. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool for the fans to do that. Do a photo up with the 3 of us.
Oh, totally. I mean, that would be funny to do a No Way Home style. There's got to be a convention out there that can afford that and get John out whatever hole he's in. Sadie, thank you. Very happy to be doing this Q&A. This is really great. Huskins Horror, what's up, Cody? He's doing a fan film himself, Friday the 13th,
awesome.
Freddy versus Jason Dreamscape. So he's doing Freddy. It's like a Jason Goes to Hell spinoff where Jason meets Freddy in hell, which is pretty cool. Awesome. This is a pretty good one. Thom, what's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie, I think, would be The Thing. Really enjoyed The Thing. I love The Omen and The Exorcist. I mean, that still sticks with me today. The Omen maybe more than The Exorcist, actually. It's more upsetting to me. And my favorite horror movie, The Hitchhiker. It wasn't a horror movie. It's just an awful... The Hitcher. The
Hitcher with why am I Rutger Hauer?
No, with oh gosh, what's his name? He was in that car movie with Tom Cruise. The
C. Thomas Howell?
Huh?
Was it C. Thomas Howell?
No.
Oh, wait, which one?
gosh, what's his name? He goes. I see him at conventions every once in a while. Anyway, my favorite horror. I really love Return of the Living Dead because it still holds up, and it's one of my great experiences making a movie.
Yeah,
it was my first big part, and just have a great memories of shooting it. It was truly a collaboration, and Jimmy Karen was in it. We became fast friends, and we found out on the second one that we had the same birthday, so we would celebrate our birthdays every year after that, and he'd come over to the house here and for the holidays and stuff like that. So,
and you two were the anchor of the second movie that they didn't want to do the movie unless you two were back in it, right? Was that the
well,
deal?
they had the script and how that came to be. They had the script and they were pre-selling it to foreign distributors, like to Spain and Switzerland and Japan. And Japan said, yes, we'll do it, because apparently part one was a huge hit in Japan. So they said, we'd love to do it. Part one was a huge hit, but we'll give you, the money if you have Jimmy Karen and Thom Mathews come back in some way. We know that everyone died, but have them come back in some way.
New characters.
So that's how we got involved in it again, because it doesn't make sense. Movie now, different names.
What was it? So what was your path up to Return of the Living Dead? You come into Hollywood, young
My
actor.
acting path?
Yeah. What was that?
Oh my God! I was born on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh yeah.
I was born on Hollywood Boulevard. Children's.
So you've been an entertainer since birth.
Yeah, entertaining somebody. I actually moved. I born in Hollywood. My grandparents lived in Hollywood. My grandfather was a carpenter for the studios. So that's a whole nother story. But my mom was up here, and she met my dad, and in Hollywood, and met my dad, and myself and my two brothers were born on Hollywood Boulevard. We actually lived in Covina, which is probably 45 minutes from Hollywood. So that's how I got, we moved around a lot. In high school, went to 3 different high schools, ended up graduating from Fairfax High School in Hollywood. And then, because we're kind of floundering out of high school, not knowing really what I wanted to do. And a girlfriend turned to me and she goes, why don't you become an actor? And it was like at that moment, I mean, literally, it was like that moment. It was like, that's what I'll do. So I started studying. I joined an acting class. And
you had quite the acting class, didn't you? Didn't you have quite a cast of characters in there?
Yeah, we did. All of them are really successful. I mean, the last one that I went to, some really good acting teachers. Milton Casales was the one that you're thinking of. A lot of famous people came out of his class, and Howard Fine's another acting coach. He's still teaching. Milton Casales has passed away. Jenna O'Hante was another acting class that I was in. So I started studying and got a commercial agent. Did a bunch of commercials, bunch of great commercials. That sustained me for a long time. Only after I got my SAG card, and I got my SAG card, I specifically went to Lorimar Productions on the MGM lot, and was an employee there. And in the back of my mind, I went there to get my SAG card. So it took me about a year and a half. Casting people knew I was acting. I was talking about all this stuff. And George Saba finally gave me a walk on Knots Landing, and that's how I got my SAG card. And then just started working. My first movie was The Woman in Red. Had a bit part with Charles Grodin, God rest his soul. And then I got Return of the Living Dead.
And then that was you have some great stories about sort of working with Dan O'Bannon and the process of how that film was put together and why it worked so well. What was that like working with him, and any good Dan O'Bannon stories?
Dan, well, the process of getting the film done was a long one as well. I mean, I auditioned. I thought I knocked it out of the park. Didn't hear anything, and then I get a call back 9 months later, and I'm like, I thought this thing was dead. Not intended. So they go, no, you got a callback. So I said, oh, okay. So I go to the callback, and not only was it not a callback, I had been cast in it. I found out when I got there, they cast me in it, and they were reading Tina's against me to see who would for the actors who they wanted to work. So I read probably 6 girls who read the part of Tina, and Beverly Randolph ended up getting the role. And what had happened was, between that 9 months, that they were trying to work out the logistics legally, the name, getting the rights. There was some issue with the name, and it took Tom Fox, he's the producer, to get the rights worked out. So that's what the big delay was. And then Dan, he had a small house in Santa Monica. He was very generous. He was doing construction on his house, though. He took out all the interior plaster and was putting 3/4 inch plywood up on all the walls and doing bulletproof glass on the windows. He was worried about the earthquakes, you know. And he was like showing me around, and he had this iron cage above his bed, and the earthquake happened while he was sleeping, you know. It was really kind of odd, but you know, understandable. I mean, if you would take it that far, you know, Dan, he also co-wrote Alien, so that a lot of people don't know that, but that was, you know, he's kind of comes from that mindset. He ends up marrying after years. He ended up marrying Diane, who was his high school sweetheart. I mean, like 20 years later, 30 years later, or something. So that was pretty cool. And then Dan, you know, to his credit, he had all of us, after we were all, most of us were cast. 95% of us was cast, except for Clu, for Bert. He had us rehearse for 2 weeks, which was huge. No one does that. It's just like, it was huge. You know? Oh yeah. So that helped out a lot.
No, that's definitely good. Another question coming in, Tom. When you took the role in Part 6, I know that you hadn't seen were you a fan of all of the Friday the 13th films, and like, what was like the public perception of it, and how have you seen that change over time? I'm going to add something on top of that question.
Was I a fan? I'd seen Part 1 for sure. When I got cast, I went back and did my homework, and I saw all of them. I specifically paid attention to Part 4 and 5 because that's what Tommy Jarvis was in. So I was trying to figure out if there was any mannerisms that, more specifically, that John had that I could carry over into Part 6. I didn't really see anything, so terrified after seeing Part 5 because it wasn't shot very well. You know, there was hardly any lighting. The story was like quirky, and honestly, it looked like a porn to me. And then I come to find out later it was, you know, pornographic director directed it, so that made sense. Any girl in a t-shirt, you know, you're gonna what t-shirt contest. So I was kind of scared because it was what quality of work, even though it was a horror movie that I wanted to do. But I talked to Tom McLaughlin, and we talked through it and stuff like that. So it kind of put my fears at ease. And
could you tell right away that Tom sort of had a different vision?
His script was different. The script I loved because you know, he did an amazing job. I mean, there's a love interest, a slight love interest, and there's a story, and you got to know the characters. There's some character development in that, and I think that's why a lot of people like it. It's one of their top favorite Fridays because of the relationships that Tom was able to create within all the kills that he had to do and having to deal with Jason and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was fun.
I guess I don't know how you feel about this, Tom. Do you ever think you'll see Jason cross over with another slasher? Is there anyone you'd like to see Jason fight?
I like him to have him fight Tommy Jarvis again. I like to, you know.
Well, it's going to happen. We got a couple fights coming up in Never Hike Alone too. There's a couple in the movie. It's going to be fun. Are you looking forward to doing some stunt work?
I think when that happens, that's just a gimmick. You know, it's like having Friday the 13th. I think everyone should stay in their own freaking lane. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I mean, I don't think they should be in 3D, and I don't think they should go to space. And you know, everyone needs to stay in their own lane and their own franchise and do their own thing and pay homage to the characters. and it just doesn't make sense to me why they would even want to do that. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever want to see. I think the only thing I'd ever want to see is they did Topps did a comic of Jason versus Leatherface back in, I think, in the 80s or early 90s, and I'd like to see that animated. It's just like an animated piece, like the comic book. Stuff like that. That'd be fun. I feel like Jason versus movies are sort of, I don't know. I think we'll be lucky to ever see Jason in an actual theater ever again outside of Never Hike Alone at festivals and things like that. Well, but, but we'll see. I mean, eventually something's going to happen.
So somebody may grab onto that just for that concept, Yeah. The 13th one and the final one, of course.
I know they really got it. Well, maybe we're making the 13th.
Yeah.
When all is said and done, this is the 13th.
Your lips to God's ears. That would be fantastic. You be the man.
Corey's got a good question. Tom, do you have any favorite props from Jason Lives? Anything that that made you feel like a little bit more like Tommy?
I don't have the truck, unfortunately. I don't have any props. Yeah, I don't really.
Or was there anything on set that you liked that was like, sort of, it became sort of Tom, like Kyle had a shovel from Never Hike Alone. Was there anything that was it the jacket? I mean, I guess because it was you.
Yeah, no, just Megan would have been fun. Keep her. No, I can't. Yeah, the spear maybe. The spear would have been cool to have that to stab him with.
Oh yeah.
That would have been fun. I should get that. Keep that in my living room. Make a coffee table out of it.
Tom, we got a Kickboxer 4 fan in the house with Cody. Right. Said he watched it the other day. What type of martial arts training did you have, Tom?
Taekwondo and American freestyle. I had a friend who was taking karate with Greg Wilkinson, and he would train with forget his name. He was very famous at the time. So my first class, it was over at the YMCA in Beverly Hills. That's where he had his class. My first class, he goes, "Okay, kid." He was an African-American guy. He was probably a little bit shorter than I was. How old was I? Oh my gosh, it was maybe early 20s. And he goes, "Let's see what you're made of." And, boom, 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 2 black eyes. He gave me 2 black eyes right off the bat. So that's how I stuck with him and trained with him for a little bit. I got up to be a green belt in Taekwondo was the thing, and I used it. And my motive for learning karate was to kick my older brother's ass because he would beat the shit out of me when I was a kid, which is so furious. When I grow up, I'm going to learn karate and kick your ass.
Were you inspired by the Karate Kid, or were you just?
What's that?
I said we were inspired like the Karate Kid.
No,
you needed your own. You had no.
I was on my own path. So I learned karate and never really unleashed it on my older brother. That was my
you never got to take. You never got your revenge. Got it. Wow, look at this guy. Mr. Jinton 69. Thank you for being an inspiration to young film students. I'm also 6'11" and 333 pounds, athletic and former athlete. You must have been a down lineman running people over, trucking people. If you ever need a giant, so if you ever do any giant films, Tom, I think we found our giant to come play the
Yeah. Oh shoot.
We'll do our live action Shrek rendition.
Good. Yeah, I just worked with what's his name? On Go Away. We just shot oh my God, I forget his name. Sorry. He's a giant. Forget his name. Sorry.
We got a shout out from our friends at the Merkins, Freddie K. That's from Freddy Krueger himself. Wow. Freddie dropping $2 on a Friday the 13th film. Something must be April Fool's Day. Thanks, guys. Tom, do you have a least favorite Friday the 13th movie? Have you seen them all now?
I haven't, but Jason Goes to Hell. I just saw that about a few months ago. Woo!
Have you ever met Adam
What
Marcus?
a stinker!
Oh
my God. It was so bad. I was like, what the hell? I can't believe it. Just awful. I can't believe a studio would release that movie.
Well, Tom, I don't know if you know this, Tom, but there was an idea to bring you back. They were going to do something different than Jason Goes to Hell. They chose to do Jason Goes to Hell over bringing you back. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That's what New Line brought to
the box office on that because I can't even imagine it did.
Yeah. Why does Vinny want to redo from part 8? that's pretty much why. But yeah, so that's definitely that one. Let's see. I'm your fa Tom. Say hi for me. I don't know what that is.
Hi.
Hello.
Jason.
You have any interest in joining Corey's band, Tom?
No.
That's Tom, who do you
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you haven't seen the music? Oh, look up some Corey Feldman music videos. We'll see what we'll see the multiverse where that Tommy is, what he's doing in his life in our No Way Home Friday the 13th sequel. Do you have any, Tom, who do you think? Who wins in a fight? Michael Myers or Jason?
Of course. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
Yeah. Who wins in a fight? Michael Myers or Tommy Jarvis?
Yeah. Oh, Michael Myers works.
Or you?
Michael and that'd be a good.
How would Tommy take out Michael?
That would be fun to watch.
See, I think that's the crossover I want to see. Is like Tommy defeats Jason, and then he moves around and starts defeating everybody. He just gets out of his franchise. I like that. Hey, there's the future of the franchise.
What the hell are you doing here?
Dylan's here we come.
That could be my opening line every.
If Cecil's watching,
what the hell are you doing in here?
This isn't your franchise. We'll have Doctor Strange. It'll be great.
Around every horror movie.
The Last Shoegazer. Love what we're doing. We love. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Okay. Little quick stop reminder. There's an Indiegogo going on. We've actually had some donations. So now we're up to 96, 311, 100, 1,139 backers. 2 weeks left. 2 weeks from today, Friday, April 15th is your last day to get your name in the credits, guaranteed. Anybody who goes after that, there's no guarantee. I mean, obviously a couple weeks after you might be okay, but we need to hit that $150,000 goal. We're less than $60,000 or less than $55,000 away. And we raised $76,000 in the first 13 days. So I think we got this. Just keep pushing and sharing and donating.
Yeah. Grab a perk for a friend, a thank you, and then give it to them as a Christmas present. Unbeknownst to them, because about the timing of that, it's going to be about right when the release date happens.
Mm-hmm. So they get to see their name in the credits.
Yeah,
especially those VIP credits are really cool. They go for 500. You're going to get that top tier, a little bit bigger of a name, a little bit bigger of a font, less people in there. 300 max for that row, so you get to kind of stand out from which hopefully will be thousands of names.
How many rows are there, Ben?
How many rows?
How many rows of is it 2 scrolls?
So I think there'll be either 2 or 3 rows of nice size font, and then the bigger there will be a 4-row sort of what we did for Never Hike in the Snow, which was there's a lot. I mean, it's almost as long as some shorts that I've seen at festivals. It's pretty funny, but it means a lot because those are fans from all over the world. I think we're represented right now by 26 different countries from around the world.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really something. And you know. We really got to push to not only hit the goal but exceed it. Like right now, I think we're at $96,000, but what we'll receive on our first payout is only about $84,000, and that's what we would if we stop today. So if we go to 150, we're probably going to be looking at something like we'll get 150. We'll probably be getting somewhere around 130, and that's what we'll start our production. And it's going to be that and more to complete a full feature film. And we're no longer doing 25-minute segments. We're trying to do all 3 segments in one. That's Never Hike Again, Jason Takes Crystal Lake, and the final hike is 1 hour 15 long feature. It's about 60 pages to shoot. There are 9 expensive days on set, and there are about 7 semi-expensive days on set. So it's split up like that. We're trying to do our best to make sure we fit our budget and get it in. But the more we raise, we get up to $200,000. We get up to $250,000. You're talking about adding extra scenes, adding extra kills. For Never Hike in the Snow, we never originally planned to blow up Officer Mabry's head.
Great death, by the way. Great death.
But when we raised more, we were able to build a fake head and blow up his head at the end of the movie and make it a better ending, even though it's a big cliffhanger that everyone gets mad at. But this is your chance to see the ending. This is what we've been building for, and this is what we had that cliffhanger for, was this story. And it's about this guy right here. So
all the deaths in Snow were great. That axe in the mouth and just him still talking. Amazing.
Speaking of Never Hike in the Snow and cool things from Never Hike in the Snow, you're not the only alumni in the film. We also have our good friend Vinny Guastafaro, who you introduced me to.
That's right.
When we started talking about doing a sequel, and the perfect person to come back and play the sheriff. How long have you known Vinny? Your friendship over the years, and what's it like working with him?
Known him well. I've known him since Part 6, so 35, 36 years. 37 years because it takes us a year to shoot it. And then we've remained friends. He's actually lives very close to me. The sheriff, actually, David Kagan, is a couple blocks from me because I see him walking on my street, walking around in the mornings and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. But he's been over to the house a couple times with his wife, and great working relationship. Like to see him more at the conventions. He's just positive energy and just fun to be around, and some great stories, and an actor's actor. It's just, I'm proud to call him my friend. It's really great.
No, he's the best. I'm probably going to get, once we get him a laptop that he can stream from, we're going to get him on one of these, or we might have to go to him and do it.
Come over here.
Yeah, I mean, really, we should have him do that.
Sure.
I got a chance to see when I met Vin. That was a really great experience. I got to introduce, you introduced us, and then I started shadowing his class, the sport of acting.
I told him about the Never Hike Alone. I said, we got to get you in on this. So
yeah, and now here we are, and he did a great job for Never Hike in the Snow. It was sort of like, that was almost sort of his movie in a way, to sort of introduce his character and what he's dealing with. We'll obviously continue him in the next movie, along with, also we're bringing back Andrew Lady, who plays Kyle MacLeod from Never Hike Alone. Obviously very beloved, and it will be good to see him back. I miss working with Andrew on set, so good to have him back in full capacity.
For sure.
And Anna Campbell, who will be playing Dr. Diana Hill, the mother of Mark Hill from Never Hike in the Snow, who is still searching for her son. So there's lots of story threads to close out here, and we got bow for every single one of them. We can't wait to tie them up, and it's all through your support. Let me see. Let me see if we get some good ones we can just do. Oh, here's another one. Speaking of fun co-stars, do you have any fun Clu Gulager stories?
Clu is not a prankster.
Not a prankster. All right.
He says it seems like he'd be a prankster. He's not really a prankster. Not when he's working. He's very serious. When he was working, he got cast late in Return of the Living Dead. He wasn't at any of the rehearsals. It's like the 11th hour. He took the job because he felt it was beneath him, the project. So that was weighing on him as well. He had a lot of dialogue. And if you're an actor and you got a lot of dialogue and you're just showing up and you haven't been able to digest it, it makes you really nervous and anxious and stuff like that. And you don't feel like you're doing your best work. So he was under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. So,
but he knocked it out of the park.
He knocked it out of the park. He was great. Yeah. I mean, it's great. He even calls me Fred. Hey, Fred. Hello, Fred. Just call me Freddie. Hey, Fred. I don't know, Fred. I hate the fucking brains. No, he was great. He was like the straight guy all the way through. It was
it was so good. The scenes with you, Jimmy, and him when you're running around with all the
honestly, when we were filming the office scene, and Jimmy goes, "Do you want to see him?" I said, "What?" He goes, "The corpses." Sticks his tongue out. I was like, "Oh my god, this guy's overacting," but it was so the flavor of the movie, man. Right there, it was so great. And then Clu, of course, Clu is a prankster. I mean, I come to find that out after. He had a film festival in town of all his of some of his films and stuff, and he go to show up, and I have my children with me. Let's go support Clu, and it's on Hollywood Boulevard, and I forget what the movie was. But he comes, everyone's there, and he's got these girls dancing, really tacky girls dancing to kind of entertain the audience and stuff like that. And then he comes running out. And he's carrying this big cock. I mean, it was a 7-foot dick, bone dick. And he comes running out, and he goes, "My mother always told me to act nice and carry a big stick. I mean, dick." So that.
So
he throws it aside, and then he thanked everyone for coming and stuff like that.
That's funny.
Weird sense of humor.
We got a super chat. Another good one. Do you have any? Speaking of Jimmy, too. Do you have any good anecdotes about Jimmy? Any good stories?
Oh yeah, tons of stories.
Yeah.
I was.
Thank you for the question, Frank.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. We had most of my scenes were with Jimmy in Return of the Living Dead, so. My favorite memories are when we were getting our makeup on, because we're slowly dying every week, or depending on what time in the script it was. We had a lot of makeup on, and so I mean, he would just tell all these great stories of, you know, New York and Broadway and his life, and you know, he tells a story. One of the stories he told me, one of his good friends was Jason Robards. So Jason was doing a play on Broadway, and Marilyn Monroe was in it, and Jimmy had gone to the play, like he had seen it already, you know, like 15 times. So he goes to Jason's room, his dressing room. So Marilyn Monroe was in the first act in the fourth act. So Jimmy gets thirsty because the bar, of course, was in Jason Robards' dressing room. So he goes into the third act and to go get a drink, and in there was Marilyn Monroe getting banged by JFK. And having
wow.
sex. He walks in on him having sex. And he goes, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." So he walks out and embarrassed. And then JFK comes up to him and he apologizes. "I'm so sorry. We should have locked the door, blah, blah, blah." And he gives him a lighter. And it's got JFK's initials on it. And those are the same exact initials. He showed me the lighter. The same exact initials that Jimmy Caron's are, JFK. The same exact initials as the president at the time. So he had that lighter. Oh, he also, when he passed, Jimmy Caron was he was an antique dealer before he got into acting. And his wife Alba, I said, when he passed, I said, "Is there anything? Do you have any antiques I could have to remind as a memento of his friendship?" And so she gifted me with this antique cowboy and a steel horse. So that's my memento of Jimmy Caron that she gave me.
That's amazing. Yeah, my family's in antiques. We've talked about that a little bit. When I've been over to your, I always kind of peek over. We had stuff like that in our house, but that's amazing to find out that Jimmy was into antiquing and stuff like that.
Definitely,
yeah. I'm glad that question came up. We got another one that another pop up. Let me see, get this in there. Oh, I guess I got to go down to the bottom and do it. Here we go. Hey, Vincent, by the way, Adam Marcus actually has funding for an Indiegogo for a documentary on Jason Goes to Hell. Yes, in fact, I do an interview in the documentary and tell Adam to his face how much I hated the movie. It's actually a really good, I've talked to Adam a lot. He's actually a really great guy. He's a really smart dude. He was under a lot of pressure for that film. He was 23 years old, his first movie in Hollywood. He just happened to know Sean Cunningham, and Sean didn't want to direct it, and he was producing it, but directing through Adam. And Adam has a lot of great stories in that documentary, which is crowdfunding and has been going on for a few years. I think they're just finishing up some of their interviews and it should be coming out later this year. But there's stories about, Adam's ideas about Tommy Jarvis and things that didn't go unused that I think will pop up in that. So fans should definitely check. Yeah, no, that's how I found out about some of the things that they were trying to do. And as a fan, I've always wondered, like, why are these why is it so hard to have such what seems like a very simple conversation about, like, well, this is the character from the franchise and we use this character and they do these things, not we got to completely change this up and make him like a snake that slithers around and you can only imagine what a 23-year-old, this is his first job, like, I'll do anything you say, sir, and
of course.
And now he gets saddled with the worst Friday the 13th for his bads. I mean, he got paid for the job, so there's that. But at the end of the day, a lot of people do talk about it too. So it's one of the most talked about and watched Friday the 13th because it's so debatable and things like that. So sometimes negative, good all publicity.
Debatable. I don't know if it's debatable or not, but
there's a diehard fan base, and that's sort of what's funding that document. Yeah, no, there's people who love Jason Goes to Hell.
Wow.
Well, it's got.
Blows my mind.
If you step back as a Friday the 13th, it's almost like Halloween 3 in a way. It's like you got to step back and look at it as a movie, not like, oh, it's got to fit the previous ones. When you look at it, like, good production value, acting's good, effects are good. It's just not a Jason movie.
I mean, I think that's the only way you can look at that movie, and it still wasn't good to me because it had nothing. I mean,
low blow.
It was so bad.
Here we go.
That.
Well, speaking of not how do you feel about Jason X? Did you ever watch Jason X? Jason Goes to Space?
I never saw that one.
You've never seen it? Oh, no. I think we should do a sit down where you and I sit down and you have to watch every Friday the 13th.
Someone else's movie.
All right, Tom, what do you think about this one? Where would Tommy fit into this story? They got you they have your head cryogenically frozen on the show.
We'll do commentaries. We'll have.
I'll tell you what, Tom, if we ever do a Jason X fan film, I'm definitely putting your head cryogenically frozen on the ship, and it still talks. And you can wear it. You can put it on a robot body. We'll do CG. You'll be Uber Tommy. It will be great. I think that's the way to do Jason X too. We have a big fan here, Blended Vision, a man by the name of Jordan Duffer, who does a ton of Ghost Jason cosplay art for stuff. Some of the movies that we release on Instagram are quick little shorts. Jordan's the one who puts them together. He's way more social media savvy than I am. He's a super fan. So definitely thanks for stopping by, and of course, Jordan Harvey, another Jordan who is a cosplayer, does a lot of 2009 remake and many other things. So Jordan from the 13 Gallows Lane crew stopping in and saying hello. Let me see. I can't wait till Never Hike Again. At least that's what I think it would be called. That's what it was supposed to be called when it was just a short. And I almost called it Never Hike Again just to kind of do that, but I felt like more people would understand. Never Hike Alone 2 is definitely more of a feature film, direct sequel to Never Hike Alone. There's no fooling around, none of that. We're going full boat. So we're going there. Brandon believes that Never Hike Alone 2 will be better than Halloween Ends. I will take that challenge. Because, I think one of the mistakes that they've made in the Halloween franchise and in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise with the last film they left out is that they took the characters of Jamie Lee Curtis and Sally from the original films, like Laurie and Sally, and they said, the killers don't care about them. They were nothing to them. They were never anything to them, so they don't matter in the end. They're just survivors who are on a long list of people that they forgot about. What I love about our story is that you and Jason know exactly who each other is. And I think that adds to the rivalry and into the entertainment for the fact that there's a rivalry there and you guys want to kick each other's ass. It ups the stakes, in my opinion.
Right. That's true.
In
part 6 too, I'm in the water, I'm in the boat, and he's going after the kids. And Tom, my girlfriend, comes to me and goes, I got to get Jason. How do I get Jason away from the cabin and towards you? I said, I'll just call for him. I'll be in the boat. Hey, Jason, it's me. You want to remember your pussy? Come on. And then he turns and he comes after me to remind him that I'm the one that he wanted. So,
and I think that's what I really loved about that film is that, Jason's going through and marching through and causing all this chaos. He's like a great white shark. Anything in his path, he'll devour. But he's really looking for you. And that's the driving story of Never Hike Alone 2, which is he's looking for Kyle. But you're also there. So it's kind of a both, too, because he's very pissed that Kyle got out. He's become sort of like a young Tommy, like in that way that like there's another one who got away, you know what I mean? And it's ruining his perfect thing. But the fact that he's got two of you together, it's like, he's just, it's like Christmas for Jason, but we'll see if he can take down the master.
Kyle at the end.
What?
Nothing.
I don't know. I don't know if Jason knows that you're a green belt. So
well, he's gonna fucking find out.
We're gonna find out. You ready to do some? Are you ready for your own stunts?
What am I, Tom? Karate and then go chop them up.
There we go. That's the fans want to see. We're gonna do a straight kung fu movie. You versus Jason. And all of a sudden, we're just gonna break tone. We're gonna go John Woo, get some doves. It'll be great. Question for you, Tom. How was it being again with Jason Voorhees on Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow? Although you never really got to see Jason in Never Hike in the Snow, but what's it like being on set and seeing Jason walking around again?
Fine. I don't really have any emotional, it's I never really, I never saw him on part 6 that much, except for in the underwater stuff. So we didn't really have a lot of scenes together, and CJ kept off to himself. So, other than digging him up, and he was in the fight scene in the beginning, which was a great sequence, an opening sequence for the franchise. It's
nice. I'm going through looking for some questions for us. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Got a lot of funny people. Flashback. I'm not sure if you talked about fundraising opportunity, but here's one that's mostly on topic. Hey, Vincent, Maurice McCoy here with Flash. Let me see. Flash Tane Event Entertainment Productions. Not sure if you talked about fundraising opportunity. But how can I be involved in the project? I'd love to help out. Well, we have
this
lovely Indiegogo going on right now. This is a great way to get involved. There are associate producer perks, co-producer perks, producer and executive producer perks. Producers, not only will they get all the fun stuff, all the perks, but you also get more stuff than that. You're going to get access to our calendar and when we're going to be shooting and where we're going to be shooting. You have an invite to come to set and be a VIP on set. We will put you in Video Village. You'll get to watch everything get shot. You'll see everything behind the scenes. You will, obviously you won't get you can take pictures with everybody and do all that fun stuff. We'll obviously have a place for you and we'll feed you and put you up in a way. You know, for that, obviously, producers will have to get themselves a set. They will have to find their own lodging, but our set will be open to you and you can stop by and hang out with us. And if you're an up and coming filmmaker or you're in production and you want to see how Womp Stomp Films does business, this is a great way to get up close and personal. In the last, in Never Hike in the Snow, we had an executive producer by the name of Knightley Giamillo, who ended up playing young Jason in the film. But, you know, at the end of the day, all he wanted to do was come out and see the set and see us work, which was a fun time for him. He came out to the Flagstaff set. So there's lots of opportunities.
Well, he just happened to be there and you needed somebody. Just you threw him in there.
Well, there was, I ended up coming up when we started to raise a little bit more money, I started adding scenes. And so I added the scene with Jason seeing his mother in the attic. And I always had that scene in my head of him turning into a little boy when he sees the vision of his mother. And that's what he sees in his head. And I was like, oh, I need to get a little kid. And I'm like, wait, I just met this executive producer who wanted to be in the film. And I said, I can't guarantee it. But at the end of the day, I said, you know what? I think Knightley fits the role. I mean, he's a little bit bigger than what a normal 12-year-old would be. And I always saw Jason as like, he was built a little bit bigger. He was overgrown a little bit. So he'll fit. And, you know, he wants to act. And this might be a great opportunity for him. And we had him, we put dentures in, we put him through makeup. He got to act with our actress and get out there on set and be treated as cast. So it was a really good experience for him. Producers who are on set, there were several films where we will need background. Producers are the only people on set other than SAG actors who can actually be background. So if you want to be background and you want to put on a nurse's jacket, or you want to, one of the other scenes where we can have some background, it might be a chance for you to play somebody at a diner, somebody working at the police station, something like that. This could be your opportunity. So anyone who's interested in becoming a producer level, anything 2,500 or higher, that is there. There are other great opportunities too. There you can get your name in the film. We've already got 4 backers doing that. I've already named 4 characters in the script. One of them is my brother, which is going to be great. So my brother's going to die in the movie. Most of the characters that you're naming are dying. So you get to be a victim. Name it after yourself. Name it after your worst enemy. Name it after your mom. Anything you want. Just can't call him Bodie McBoatface or like Shithead McGee. None of those. Like, hey, Officer Shithead. Or maybe that's his nickname. Maybe we can work it in. It's just I'd like to keep it somewhat more about you. We will have future perks too that will be coming up soon. You know, I've been thinking of, people have been talking about like missing persons posters and other objects like that. Some limited edition VHS signed photos by the cast, things like that.
The milk box.
Oh yeah, the missing milk box. Yeah, we'll have you in the milk box hanging on to different things. And then, you know, we'll come up with some other things too. Let me see. What else we got here? Let's see. Tom, what's your approach to Tommy and Never Hike Alone 2? Vinny has mentioned a lot of great ideas to the characters to face Jason Voorhees again for an epic showdown. How are you preparing for this role, this final showdown with Jason?
I'm trying to stretch and eat right. It's about, I just kind of, you know, I always attack the script the same way. I just read it and the first time and make notes of what emotionally strikes me. So I just kind of, it just depends on, you know, how it's all of it is how it's written. So that's how I do it. I'm trying to eat right, and I'm trying to, you know, I'm older now, so I've got to, there's some stunts I got to do. So I'm trying to get prepared for that and, you know, stretch.
Well, you did all your own stunts on snow. We asked, and you took that dive and roll and did a great job. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like 30 degrees out.
Okay.
At least it'll be warm this time. It'll be fun. Yeah, we got some. There's going to be some stuff. What you got, Tom? We got somebody here who's a little upset. Who thinks Lament with this amazing contribution. By the way, Tommy calling Jason Maggot Head was rude AF. The maggots were all Tommy's fault. Did give it to him, but I think he deserved it though, because before that he technically killed your mom.
So I mean, when did he get put in the grave after I dug him up? So. What's the history of that? Do you know, Vin? I mean, how did he get in the first?
Well, young Tommy put him in the grave. Young Corey put a machete to the side of his face, and then when Jason twitched,
did he
Tommy
have an actual burial.
You know, it was it's funny because in part 5 they say that they cremated Jason. But then Thom started working in that Jason's father story of that Jason's father paid to have Jason buried traditionally in the graveyard, and he was paying the caretaker to take care of the graves, and that was supposed to be the scenes at the end of the movie that Thom had done. And yeah, it was sort of a storyline that the Vengeance fan film tried to follow, but just a little tough without Thom to kind of make that work. So so it was sort of in there. I think that's sort of what it was. But yeah, I mean, essentially after part 4, he would have been put in the ground and done there. In fact, I talked to Joe Zito one night doing 13 Fanboy with Judy Ronson. I got a chance to go to a part 4 screening. I got to meet Joe Zito, the director from that film. And he said, which I thought was very interesting, is that he says that Jason was already dead in his film. That at the end of part 3, when he has the axe in the head, that he considered Jason dead in the barn, and he doesn't reanimate until he gets back to the hospital. So it's an interesting thing. It's sort of like led to the mystery of Jason and what he is, because fans have debated and said Jason was a alive and breathing human being from parts 2 to 4 and had survived the drowning. But there's lots of conflicting things about that. So I think that as a Friday the 13th historian, I guess you could say, it's always one of those interesting things when you find out that like a director had a completely different view than a lot of people who talk for the film. So it's definitely a long and complicated history with that. This guy's got it, the right idea. I watched Never Hike Alone. It was amazing. You need your own movie deal. I would like to see that Jason on the big screen play it perfect. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We tried. We were there. We got in, I got into my meetings with Warner Brothers. We had a chance to do streaming. And it just, the lawsuit just ate it up. So until the lawsuit's over, this is the only way to do it. It's the crowdfund. So we're doing it this way, and we wish we could do it another way, but this is kind of cool. This is fans coming together, and you guys trust us to deliver. And so it means the world to us that you guys support us and do all these things. Mitch always asks great questions. The issue with all the slasher franchises is that they were initially made without intent to be a franchise. Now we at least know a plan for a standalone to be a success. I mean, I think that was a lot of what led to, that's why I wanted to ask your opinion, Thom, about part 6 before, is because you saw that they were sort of, you probably saw the writing on the wall when you were going in, that they were like turning these things out, and there's always like a recycled sort of way about it, and the way that the public perception of it, the horror. But how does it now, looking back and saying like, wow, how I thought about the film then, and how I look back and see how of all the other things that have done, it's still prevalent, it's still popular with fans, and it grew an even bigger fan base.
The inconsistency. The only thing that was consistent is the fact that Tommy Jarvis and Jason were in the 3 when I got part 6, were in the 2 prior. So it was confusing. That kind of was the anchor for me, I guess. And it's incredible that the fact that it's grown and the fan base has continued, and now there's a game, and we're doing fan films and things like that. It's just amazing. Going forward from that. So it's been incredible that people have responded that way, and it continues to build. And everyone I meet at the horror conventions, and what it meant to them, and when they saw it, and how special it was for them to see it and come over and say hi to me. It's been pretty cool. It's been a great ride.
From Jordan, Thom, what do you think of Brian and I's portrayal of Ghost Jason, the way that we bring him to the screen? Obviously, Brian Forrest, my stunt double, who I work with in tandem to do a lot of the work, who's very great.
I think that they nailed it. They capturing Jason's essence. Never Hike in the Snow was greatly shot, and they captured his essence perfectly. So I think they're doing a great job.
Thank you. James Sweet, director of Jason Rising, asks, will Tommy need to use the occult books in NHA 2? I feel like Tommy has them memorized by now. What about you, Thom?
Yeah, I think we're past that.
I think they're old. I think
there's a specific ingredient he needs for a ritual or something like that.
Yeah, right. He's making a soup. One night I got really
2 ounces of rosemary, not 2.5.
When he's casting curses on Rick. That's actually a good thing to jump into.
What pen do I use to stab Rick my voodoo doll.
Yeah, just sitting there at home with it. Speaking
doll.
of there, which the Rick Tommy rivalry is something that we've had a lot of fun with. Are you looking forward to sort of like ramping that up in this one? Because we're really going to send you guys at each other.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on, unless he comes to his senses. I don't see that there's any way around that. I might even get my T-shirt made at that point. Rick the Dick.
Maybe that'll be our crew shirt. Hey, there we go. We're gonna have to. I was actually thinking about doing that. Some extra T-shirts like Wessex County, but we need a Rick the Dick with Vinny's face on it. Just say "ya bang" under it. Yeah. You can take those to the conventions. That'll be good. Oh yeah, he's gonna have some fun stuff. Here, let me see. We got some other good. Got a lot of people saying hello. I saw hello from Topher from A New Kind of Fear. Always good to see you, buddy. Topher did a lot of our masks for the previous campaign. I know some people were asking about them. We sold out of those last week. Yeah, I think later on in the next campaign, we give Horror Effects Design some time to do the first 13. We can do another 13. We're just going to do them in smaller batches this time. I was actually talking to Brandon Scott Murphy, who does Sculptor Die Studios, who is the other person who does our masks for us. We're thinking about doing a little bit of a different strategy for how we do them. We'll probably pre-make them and then do that rather than making people wait almost a year and a half, 2 years for their masks, because they take a long time to make. So because they're made just like we make them for the film. We don't do the those when we did these, we're doing a little bit easier. We're doing the traditional sort of repro. That's why we made them quicker and easier. Go there. Let me see any. Oh, we got a question from Doomhead. You brought up David before. What was it like working with David Kagan?
You know what? I freaking hated David Kagan. That scene where, I'll tell you why. That scene where he was kicking me out of town and he throws me up against the car, fucking bruised the shit out of my. I mean, I had bruises over here. And me being mad at him, giving him that look, it wasn't acting. That was I wanted to kill him because I was so sore. But other than that, he's a great guy. Like I said, I see him walking around the neighborhood. We're neighbors. It's so bizarre that we live in the same neighborhood. That we talk every morning, or when I see him out there, I probably see him. Depends on like the last month, I've probably seen him 4 or 5 times, just walking with his wife. So we catch up and stuff like that. I've been trying to get him to come out, and he's very COVID freaked out. So when we talk, it's always from at least 6 feet away. I try to hand him stuff, and someone gave me something for. I was at a convention, and I said, "Oh, I can get this signed for you from David because he's in my neighborhood," and so I had to hand it to him and get him to sign it. But he's he's a great guy, and he's still walking around, still healthy. Knock on wood.
We got a request from Lament Butterfly for a laser disc. Tom, do you own any laser discs? Did you ever have a laser disc player?
I don't.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's one more expense. No, I'm sure it's like the process of making one of those today would be like ridiculous. But maybe one day when we get bought out by Warner Brothers and they can do a laser disc. Because that's what it is. Like VHS is the cool thing right now. Maybe another 10 years they'll like find a way to do laser discs really cheap, and those will come back. When everyone's doing that. But VHS, as of right now, even a DVD.
Anything on vinyl too, music wise.
Yeah, well, vinyl's back. We're actually there is a Never Hike Alone soundtrack on vinyl coming pretty soon. That's one thing we might add to the campaign at a later date once we know it's ready. Yeah, Ryan Perez Dapple, who does our score, he did an amazing job in Never Hike Alone.
That's amazing.
Love listening back to the score just because
Corey Feldman to do a song on it.
Yeah, we'll get a bonus track. And then we'll add one from the Merkins at the bottom. Be the whole thing down. Let me see. I'm sorry, Lynette, she's crying now. Someone says, I hope that Jason looks like part 7 Jason all bony and disgusting. It is my favorite Jason design. It is a cool Jason design. Jason has sort of a newer costume now, so he's covering up all those bones because all those bones cost money. So we try to keep him as covered. I mean, we're going to do some, I think what's fun is that like now that Tom's fighting Jason and we don't have to do like keep going with the costume here, is that we can kind of take Jason out as much as we can. So if fans give to the Indiegogo, and we raise extra money, that's more damage. It's not only damage that Jason's going to do to other people, but it's also more damage that we can do to Jason. I have a couple things that I want to do to Jason in the film. It's just a matter of whether we can afford it. Those are things that can cut out really easy, and the world can go on without you guys ever noticing that we had ideas. But we have ideas, and we always do. So the more you fund us, the more you convince other people to fund us. It's not just your contribution; it's the contribution of you and as many people as you can get to back it as you can. You know friends in your world. There's people you meet up with at cons. There's people you talk about things with. I mean, even Thom said it himself. The first time he heard about a fan film, he went, "What is that? It sounds awful." I get it. I've seen them too.
Yeah.
That's what we were trying to overdo, to be like, if someone ever, and I said it before we made Never Hike Alone. I said, if someone ever made a good Friday the 13th fan film, it might actually blow up.
Well, Vinny, I got, all the kudos go to you. You have set the bar so high for fan films and films alone, but specifically for a fan film, it just you're like the Bitcoin of fan films.
I'm the NFT.
Yeah,
I'm the cat. I'm the picture of the cat.
Never Hike Alone, Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, I've thought about that. Like, can Never Hike Alone be an NFT? that would pay for everything. It's weird. I just don't understand that stuff very well. So, but I thank you, Tom. No, it means a lot. But I mean, I can't. I can't do that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
That. My son.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Did I tell you? I think I told you this.
You told me, but tell the people.
My son. He's like 4 or 5 years ago. He wanted to buy some weed. So the dealer only accepted cryptocurrency. So he had to go buy some cryptocurrency. So he bought some cryptocurrency and he got the weed and had a great night or whatever. So then he loses the coins or whatever. And then he finds it. He now has $400,000 in cryptocurrency.
Oh my God. Can he fund the film?
He could.
Hey, what's he doing?
Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin? What the heck? What are we doing here, Tom? We could have it all.
For some weed, he's got $400,000 in
and they say that,
it's nuts. He brought us, my wife and I, a $500 bottle of wine for Christmas. He brought over. He gave his younger brother $2,500 in cash. He goes, "No, you have to go. There's only one stipulation. You have to invest it into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency somehow." So he made him do that.
Well, maybe one day we'll have to have him on to tell us what to do so we can all.
Yeah, I'll tell him. He'd probably get a perk at least, something.
Let me see. Well, there's a good question. Here's one for me. Vincent, what do you do to get into the character for Ghost Jason? I do have a routine.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's sort of a physical routine of like reminders that I have for physical tics that Jason has. There's once I put the hood on and the mask goes on, that clicks in. Like I feel like I'm in the suit. I feel like I'm powering a suit, even though there's no mechanics in it. I feel like I'm in an Iron Man suit.
Get that. I totally get that.
And start to pilot, and if I can feel it like
You're empowered by it. Yeah,
really, it is. I mean, it's such a wonderful form of acting. Of like, and that's where it starts. It starts
to do that too. I mean, the costume and the wardrobe, it kind of it solidifies the feeling of the character for you. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine. I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah, so I was doing Return of the Living Dead, and it was punk rocker, and I cut my hair all off, and I had a little pigtail, little strand of hair that I didn't cut off, and so every morning I would see myself as a punk rocker in the morning in the mirror. So then I started becoming attracted to punk rock chicks on Melrose in the 80s. It's just like finding myself getting attracted to them. So you gotta be careful.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think after once the costumes, I'm sort of in it, and then I have like a checklist of things. I make sure I roll my shoulders back. I have a nice broad shoulder, strong chest out, sort of that.
Yes, you do.
I walk with a natural limp from playing sports and getting hit in the hips and being pigeon-toed and flat-footed and all these different things. So I try to work my limp into the walk where Jason doesn't have a fluent walk. There's like one leg that really steps forward and there's one that kind of goes. That's like you can kind of see it. He walks with a side of a different kind of stride.
Which Jason are you referring to?
Me. Like
yes, I know, but I mean that stride. Where did you take that from? from your.
I mean, I've watched that from CJ. I mean, like CJ Stride when he's doing the walks in part 6, and that might have been Dan O'Brien too, who did.
I see.
The guy who was before him, who did some of those shots, but no, CJ does those too. He does it very like
he does.
CJ is very forward, straightforward walking.
He does.
Yeah, he has that, and I think what I went with was that like Jason had taken so much damage, is that he's kind of broken on the inside. So there's a little bit of that Tar Man. And I remember when we were in Gettysburg, and the actor was talking about playing it and being a little bit broken and hinged. And I think that there's some of that, like his bones aren't quite fitting together anymore. The muscles are tearing and rotting, and it's there, and there's still strength, and there's something supernatural driving him and doing these things. That's where the footsteps really come from. It's not from his actual weight. It's from this sort of supernatural force that's driving him. So I almost feel like it's me in the suit piloting it, but it's also I'm sort of in control of what the curse is to pilot his body to do the things that it wants to do to kill people. And so he's half doing it and half puppeted in the way. So there's certain kind of mechanisms that I do. And then it's all about strong movements and then tempered movements. I think Kane did some quick snappy things that I wasn't always a big fan of. And there are other sort of, I think, cosplayers and things that do these snappy and quick movements. And I always find that makes Jason less scary. I feel like slow, very meaningful moves and like very focused. He's very locked in, almost like a Terminator. I feel like playing Jason like a Terminator, which I think CJ kind of did in a way. He was very like big and once he saw it, he went at it, and there wasn't much thought. It was go and destroy. So I think that's sort of how I like to do it. And then mix in a little bit when he's like watching you or watching somebody else, that he has that ability to kind of recede and be in the shadows and slink around. And when he wants to be, he can be light on his feet. And when he starts charging, he's a train that comes full head of steam. And that's when you really unleash everything. You let it build up. He's just not 100% all the time, which I feel like as a critique to some of the people I see doing it, that's where I see a lot of the mistakes. Is everyone wants to play Jason. They think like Jason's on 100 all the time. He's always on rage mode and everything's moving fast and he's crushing everything. It's like, I feel it's nice to sort of work Jason up into that, and it becomes a little bit more fun. And a little bit more natural. I think it's a less, as the kids say, he's less OP. He's a little bit more relatable. Let me see. We'll do a couple more questions and then kind of call this one. Let me see here. Vin, do you think Jason Blum will buy the rights to Friday the 13th? I don't know. I know that they want to. I know that LeBron James has gone after the rights. Victor Miller's trying to do something with the rights. Jason Blum has been circling them like a hawk. It's one of the ones that he wants to do really bad. There's a lot of people in Hollywood that want to work on the series and bring their take to it. I think the more the merrier. That's why I proposed a streaming series, to say, why make one movie when you can make 6 episodes and you can get 6 different great directors to come in and do something for. I mean, look at the budget that like somebody like even like a Child's Play budget where they're doing the Chucky series. Like they have a good enough budget to do some really good stuff. If you split that up between 6 episodes and you get 6 different visions, everyone's going to get something that they love because the series is so diverse. So I think that I would love to see Jason get that, but then know that it's not just about developing one movie, which a movie does need to get developed, but there has to be an offshoot for more content to get made. Fans can't keep waiting 9, 13, 5, 6 years in between films. We need sort of what Halloween and Child's Play and and then Hellraiser is coming out with a new film, and they're also going to do something on HBO Max for streaming. So I think that Friday the 13th is the juggernaut of all of those films. That and Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, deserve that type of treatment if people can find the right medium for those stories. And I think that Never Hike Alone is it's definitely a good example of how you can take Friday the 13th and not just follow the formula, but change it a little bit and come up with something a little bit more interesting that will get people engaged again. And we need, we had the game, ramp up a new round of fans with kids who are playing.
Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
How many more kids do you run into now at cons that recognize?
My wife says a lot of girlfriends and they have children, and one calls himself Machete. I'm Machete. He's got the mask on. He's like 5 years old. He's never seen the movies, but he's the Machete guy because he's got the mask on. And there's so many kids, rightfully so, who can play the game and shouldn't see the movie, but they're getting older and they're going to want to see. They're going to start watching the movies and stuff like that. So it's a whole new demographic of an audience, and it just of fans. It's going to be amazing.
I mean, let's face it, Tom. These kids have been playing Grand Theft Auto since they can hold a controller. So that's all you need. Let me see. We've been going for about an hour and a half here. Let me see any last. Yeah, we're almost there. Let's see. Here, let's see. This is a good one. Tom, was it easier to work on a Never Hike Alone or Friday the 13th studio film? Was there more freedom with the character with Vincent? Good one.
Was it easier? It was more, well, it's a shorter shoot, so in that sense it was easier. So I'd have to say yes, but as kind of approach it the same way. Never Hike Alone. I think it was one day up in Big Bear, and that was it. And then Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow was a couple more days, but
yeah, a little bit more. And this one will be. I got you. I think you're on set 10 days, so we got some work to do for this one. I mean, that's what it's been. This is Tommy's story, but yeah, I think we try to be as professional as we can in our sets, get as many things as possible. This is more to answer the question. There's comfort.
There's more freedom. Let me go back because I see.
Oh yeah, the freedom about just being with the character. I mean,
there wasn't more freedom. Tom McLaughlin on Part 6 was really, really a joy to work with, and very open to any suggestions and things like that. So I think, like I've said before, that I think. I always considered Freddy from Return of the Living Dead a character. I've done a lot of character. I consider myself a character actor, believe it or not. And then Tommy Jarvis was more closer to myself at the time, acting wise and personality wise. That part came easier for me than some of the others, as far as homework and research and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for my writing process, one of the big things is I will write things and just to kind of like get through my vision of the script. But a lot of that comes from like the input from you, input from Vinny. I remember in Never Hike in the Snow, you guys gave me a lot of great ideas that after our table read, I went back and changed in. Even you guys driving up together in Never Hike in the Snow, it was, you guys pitched things to me. We were rehearsing in the cabin while they were setting up the shots and really going over everything.
Yeah.
I know I get a lot of, I try always give my actors freedom to say, how do they feel? Because if they don't feel like they can go through with something,
that's
then
exactly right.
It's tough.
I mean, they're they have to make it real for themselves. So the more that comes across on the film, if you let whoever the actor is do that.
Have you ever been in are there any horror experiences, not horror film, but just an experience where you were trying to do something on set and trying to get there, but there was either a director or just whatever it was with the film, you just couldn't sort of get where you
where I felt like I didn't feel good about the performance or whatever. I did one movie. It was a TV show actually, and it kills me every time because it was a great part. It was called Paper Dolls, and great character. I played a John Hinckley character type where I'm killing the models and stuff like that. So my first scene was with my roommate. And I'm very quietly, opens with me sitting in our dorm. I'm very quietly working on my something. I'm, a scrapbook or something, planning the next murder or whatever it was. And then he comes in, and his voice is so high that I matched it. His energy was like, fuck. And so I had to keep that going with my character. See every episode after that, it just was the wrong choice, but I felt like I was already locked in because I was reacting to his thing. We were in high school, college together, and he was my college roommate, and it just never sat right with me. I think I even remember. I remember one of the crew members going. So I did the scene where I'm sitting on the bed, very pensive and doing my quiet thing. It was very intense. And then I said something to match this other guy, and I heard someone, when the crew guy goes, "Oh God." But I felt like I couldn't back out of it because I already committed to it.
Oh God.
It was better when he was quiet, really intense.
Oh, that's how do you get
that's been a regret of mine.
How do you get over stuff like that? You just kind of move on. You just well, it was that. And on to the next job.
It's a learning experience, and I did learn a lot just to keep to my gut and instincts and not get into people's energy. Actually use that against them, because that would have been a great moment to use that energy against him, to see, because he was acting, and which made me act, wasn't being real to myself or to the character.
Quick question comes in from Myers Voorhees Fanatic. Would you make a series that follows Jason's rampage after Never Hike Alone 2, sort of like seeing how the community thrives?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
cool.
I mean, yeah, maybe we could see, I think what it is it's Tommy going on the road and solving the other franchises.
You know what? I always had this image of Tommy going on the road and Jason being gone or whatever, or buried or something, and kind of like investigating all these weird, strange murders that happen. Where whatever state it was in. So it's kind of like that series.
Maybe that's the original series that we do. I think we've got some ideas cool that we can throw down that thing. I think as far as like me with Never Hike Alone, I think that'd be a great way to do it. I think it's less about sort of what's going on with the town. The town story is kind of over at that point. I think it's like, what does Tommy do with his life? But we'll see. We'll see if Tommy even makes it that far.
We'll see if Jason survives Never Hike Alone again, or Never Hike Alone 2.
Just Never Hike Alone 2. Yeah. I think if anything, I would go backwards. I would go and start looking at things in the past, start doing those things. But after this, for me, it's
5 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaps to kind of go in and kind of explore. That's what Never Hike in the Snow was. It was an example of going backwards and just exploring a moment in time and seeing what happens with, like, ask a question and see what answer you get, was sort of like my inspiration for that. But after this, I mean, I think for me, I want to get into original stuff. I want to, even though, I mean, I've always had the idea that we would do something together in the fact that, like, everybody recognizes you and who you are as a horror icon, that playing a role as a monster hunter or a ghost hunter or something like that, like, people would see you in that role and be like, yes, sure. I buy this. I understand. This is where he went. It may not be called Tommy in the script, but this is Tommy to me. So I think that there's definitely a lot of opportunity to do that with original ideas and things like that. And hopefully once Never Hike Alone 2 comes out and the studios come knocking again, that we can sit down and have some conversations about ideas they have and other things. Oh, you got some visitors?
No, the studio's knocking.
I wish. I know. When was my phone going to ring? Well, I think it's about a good time to wrap it up. We've been sitting here for about an hour and a half. It's been great. We got some great questions. If you tuned in late, I've seen a lot of questions that we did answer at the beginning of the stream, so I would jump back around and watch this again. You can always email us at wompstompfilms@gmail.com if anything didn't get answered or anything like that. Here, let me pull this one off the screen. Let me see if there's anything. No, but thanks for everybody for joining the stream. Tom, obviously, thank you for joining the stream one last time. Obviously, Never Hike Alone is crowdfunding right now on Indiegogo. You got 2 weeks. Help us out. Make sure you're back. Make sure you're sharing it. That's a big thing. I recognize a lot of names in the chat from people who have backed already. You guys are all awesome. You got us almost to $100,000 already. We're almost there. Help us nudge it over the edge. In fact, let's do a quick refresh. See if how far we've come since we end, because it's been on 96,311 for a while. 98,831. Wow. We'll have to check in to see. You do that. So that's great. We're less than $2,000 away from 100,000. That's a big milestone. 2 weeks to get $50,000. I know we can do it. 2 weeks to get another 100. I've seen crazier things happen. So we'll have to make that happen. Cool. Let me see. Jump back. Tom, thank you. I'll see you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And thank you for coming into my life. I mean, it's been your dedication to this blows my mind, and your filmmaking is compared to none. It's you got a great career ahead of you, Denny, for sure. And I'm glad to be a part of it. We'll kick it off.
Well, it's a big thanks to you, Tom, because you're helping project that. You've been a big help to me. Obviously, we don't get as much fans and we don't have as much support if you're not involved. And thanks for jumping into this venture with us. The fact that we got to surprise, I mean, I think my favorite thing still is that we got to surprise fans on October 13th of 2017. They had no clue.
That was a great night.
That was a gift to fans everywhere. The fact that you agreed to do it. So this is great. So thank you, everybody, for joining the stream. Tom, once again, and we will catch you next week. We'll have possibly a Tom, stay on the line with me for a little bit.
Okay.
I got something to pitch to you, but we might be doing a special presentation next week. It might not be with the Ghost Files. It might be with some friends of ours, some special interviews. But we will be back. We'll have Vinny back, and obviously we'll do a couple more streams before we dive into the end of the campaign. So 2 weeks, April 15th, Indiegogo, back it, please. Thank you, everybody. And until next time, we'll see you on the trails.